What's up, guys? Heatfireash here, and I am back today with my triple electric team. I've now won enough games with the team that I feel comfortable releasing the rental code for it, which of course is on the screen and down in the description, along with the paste code if you want to try it on Showdown. So once again, this team is basically built around Tapu, Koko, and regieleki, going for hard-hitting discharges, big thunderbolts, stuff like that. We also have Levitate with Rotom and Landorus being immune to ground type moves, which is really good, as obviously Koko and Aleki are very weak to ground type. And then Urshifu and Kartana are just kind of rounding out the team. So if you do enjoy this team and want to try it out, let me know in the comments what you think of it. I really do want to know. Hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy the video, and let's get right into it.
It's hot.
Hello and welcome to my voice. This is a post-recording of this game, so it's going to be a little different perspective here. So, looking at my opponent's team, they have a pretty common Sun team with Venusaur, Charizard, and Torkoal. They also do have some Tailwind with Whimsicott, which is kind of annoying. We see Darmanitan, who's always really scary, a lot of damage it puts out, and a Melodic, who I have not seen too much of here. So I am deciding to go with the Tapu Koko regieleki lead. Seems very good against the team. They don't really have any resists on the team, so we are going to be able to get off that damage pretty well. And then Landorus and Kartana are going to work out just fine here. Now, of course, we do have to be careful with Kartana because our opponent could just go for, a lot of fire moves. Which, not too good against Kartana. That's bad for us, but in this case, I felt like we would probably need it just based on the rest of their team. I mean, Venusaur is kind of hard to get through. We only really have one good move, and Kartana is kind of the only one that can actually do neutral damage to Venusaur. So that's why I picked that. So they lead with Darmanitan, Whimsicott here. This is a little bit frustrating for me because Whimsicott's just going to go for a Tailwind, and then Darmanitan gets to attack first. So what I assume is that Darmanitan's probably just going to knock out regieleki, but I just decide to double attack. I decide to go for a Thunderbolt into Darmanitan and just go for a Discharge, and I figure that no matter what, I'll at least get some good damage off, even if my Lecky gets knocked out. But what we see is the Darmanitan actually goes for Rock Slide, and regieleki avoids it, and Koko only takes half damage. So this actually works out great for us. Thunderbolt into Darmanitan, one shot, knocks it out, no problem. And then we do get the Discharge off. We don't get Discharge, that's right. We actually flinched there. So, we got a little bit lucky that we missed. The Rock Slide did not hit us, but we also flinched. So kind of a one-for-one trade there. And then they throw in the Venusaur, which is pretty scary. We don't have a lot of damage for Venusaur, like I said earlier, so we're just going to go for 2 attacks here, figuring that probably regieleki is going to go down here. That is definitely my thought, but we're just going to try to get some good damage, some good solid damage off here. So they are going for a Dynamax on Venusaur, which is not too surprising. And it's not even like they need the Sun here. They already have Tailwind up, so they're going to be very fast. And of course, that G-Max Fine Lash is kind of a crazy attack. It does so much damage over several turns that it can definitely be hard to get through. And we actually see Sunny Day come out of Whimsicott, and I was a little bit surprised to see this, but it does make sense, I guess, to get that extra speed boost, although they really don't need it. They already have Tailwind, so they're plenty fast. And we see the Earth Power into regieleki, and we actually tank that up. This regieleki does have 228 EVs in special defense, so we can tank some hits. I was very surprised that we tanked that, though. I did not think we would. Thunderbolt into Whimsicott, pretty good damage, and then Dazzling Gleam, just enough to knock out the Whimsicott, which is what we were looking for there. Little bit of chip on Venusaur, but not too much. Not too much at all. And of course, our electric moves aren't going to be hitting hard on Venusaur right now, which is kind of a little bit unfortunate. They bring in Torkoal here, and I think I definitely want to get rid of Torkoal because we do have Kartana in the back. But also Venusaur is scary to me. So it's kind of a toss-up what to hit, but I end up going for the Torkoal here because I feel like we're going to need Kartana to win the game, and I'd really just rather do a bunch of damage, get the Torkoal out, and then maybe Kartana can clean up the Venusaur after it's Dynamax over. But it goes for a Max Ooze into Koko, which I probably should have saw coming. The problem here really isn't so much Koko getting knocked out. That's really fine. It's more the +1 special attack to both Venusaur and the Torkoal. Now, luckily, we do get the Thunderbolt off here, and we just straight up one-shot the Torkoal. I mean, regieleki damage is insane with Choice Specs and with Electric Terrain with its Transistor ability. Does a ton of damage, but we can go ahead and bring in Landorus here. And we do have Kartana in the back still, which is pretty safe now that the Torkoal is down. But the one thing I didn't really realize, I guess, is how powerful Max Airstream is with Landorus. Landorus for so long has really had no viable flying move, and as you can see here, this Max Airstream just absolutely destroys this Venusaur. Of course, this is probably a very offensive Venusaur, probably like no bulk, so that's probably why Max Airstream did so much here. But just either way, just seeing the power of Landorus with a max air move, max wind move is just so strong. So let's just take a look at this right here. G-Max Vine Lash goes off first, and as you can see, we tank that up very easily. Even at +1, that Venusaur, we easily tank it up. We do have the Assault Vest, and Thunderbolt not doing too much to Venusaur here, but check this out. Look at this. Whoa, that is so much damage right there. Crazy damage, crazy damage. And of course, we do get the speed boost here. And Vine Lash is going to knock out the Regieleki, but not too big of a deal, honestly. We still have the Kartana in the back, and obviously Venusaur's at like 1 HP, so we're good. But I was just so surprised to see the damage of the Landorus there. I just did not expect it. I guess it just seems like Venusaur is more tanky, but you know, it really depends on how you set up your EVs, and obviously this game is now over, but hopefully this game at least showed like the power of Regieleki and Tapu Koko just on a lead. Like, they can deal so much damage. It really is crazy. So we just go for the double attack here just to finish off the game, and I do think my opponent actually just cancels the battle. Oh no, they actually don't. They go for Leaf Storm, but again, we tank that up. No problem at all. And we finish it off with one more Max Airstream into the Venusaur. So definitely MVP goes out to Landorus in this game. That Assault Vest really helps us tank up against Venusaur too, and actually makes us pretty good against Venusaur. Next game up here, my opponent once again has a Sun team with Charizard, Torkoal, and Venusaur. They're also bringing in a Tyranitar for another Weather Setter, a Bronzong for Trick Room, I'm assuming, and then also a Gastrodon, which is pretty annoying, actually. So, I mean, right off the bat, again, I feel like Regieleki and Tapu Koko is something I could do. But then again, I was going back and forth here, thinking that it might be better to maybe lead Landorus or something, just because the Tapu Koko, this team has, with Gastrodon and Tyranitar, I felt like the double electric lead maybe not as strong, and that leading Landorus could be pretty good depending on what they lead, but it's just kind of a little awkward for my team, especially with Urshifu. They have the Gastro, which is good against it, but what I decided to do is just go for the Tapu Koko Regieleki lead, go for Landorus, and then Urshifu here. I decided not to bring Kartana because I was really just afraid of them just kind of leading Charizard, or maybe just getting huge damage off of Charizard, and then if it's a G-Max Charizard, like, what am I going to do? Like, it's kind of hard for me to use Kartana in that situation, so I left Kartana back for Urshifu this game, although I was a little bit worried about Gastro because, you know, now if I'm going with Urshifu, my water moves, I'm not going to be able to use that against Gastro, and then also Regieleki and Koko are not good against Gastro, so And here they go for Charizard and Bronzong lead. And I thought this was interesting. My first thought is, well, I guess Bronzong is just going to Trick Room because Charizard is slower than both my Pokemon. So maybe they're going to just try to set up a Trick Room here. So what I want to do is just, I figure that Charizard's going to switch out, right? It just makes sense for Charizard to switch out. Otherwise, we're just going to basically one-shot it. So I decided to go for a Volt Switch into Bronzong and then taunt the Bronzong so it can't set up Trick Room. And that I felt like was a pretty good move on my part. I kind of underestimated how much damage my Regieleki would do. Now, Charizard stayed in, but they did protect. So this is like a fine play on my part. But look how much this Volt Switch does. Wow, that's crazy. If I would have just went for a Thunderbolt, I would have knocked it out, which is kind of nuts. Yeah, I just didn't think it would do that much damage. I was just, honestly, when it happened, I was just like, whoa. I guess I should have just double attacked it and just knocked it out in the first place. So I should never underestimate Regieleki's damage, that's for sure. So go into Landers here. And obviously, like I said, Discharge would have just been better actually in this situation. But we get the taunt off on the Bronzong. And as you'll see here, it did go for Trick Room. So at least we did stop Trick Room, but obviously going for double attack would be better. Now, once again, I feel like I feel like Charizard is going to switch out here. And because of that, I don't want to go for Rockfall. Like, I would just Rockfall into Charizard, just straight up knock it out. But I feel like there is no way they can keep Charizard in because I will one-shot it. So what I decided to go for is a Max Airstream into Charizard, which I think is going to be a switch into Gastrodon. And then also just go for a Discharge. Discharge should be enough to knock out the Bronzong and also deal a good bit of damage to Charizard if the Charizard does switch in. But I really feel like it's going to be Gastro here. But they actually switch out Bronzong, which I did not see coming, and bring in Torkoal. They did want to get that extra damage with Charizard, and as you'll see, they actually go for a Dynamax on Charizard here, which I think was a bit of a misplay on their part, as you'll see with our insane damage we deal to it. I think it was a pretty obvious play to switch out Charizard, but maybe they thought they were trying to kind of mind game me a little bit, thinking that I would maybe expect a switch and I would go for a ground move or something like that. Maybe that's what they were expecting. But, yep, Dynamax Lando here. No problem. Going for the Max Airstream. And going for that Discharge with Koko. So, obviously, seeing Torkoal come in, I'm completely fine because I know that Discharge is going to do a decent bit of damage to it. And then I don't really have to worry about Eruption so much, which is really the only scary thing about Torkoal is Eruption. So, big damage there. Big damage. Look at that. Over half damage to Charizard. Over half to Torkoal. And the Torkoal was actually running a Citrus Berry, which is not really an item I've seen on Torkoal before. So they go for a Max Airstream into Lando. I'll be honest, that did more damage than I thought it would. We are Assault Vest, but it's possible that maybe I need a little more special defense in Lando. But at this point, we already did so much to the Charizard. I knew that the Max Airstream was going to knock it out. So even despite not going for the Rockfall there, just going for the Airstream was enough to knock out the Charizard. And at this point, I feel like we're in a decent position. Their Bronzong is basically one hit away from going down. Torkoal is decently weak too, and we know that our Discharge does a ton of damage to it. So really the only thing I don't want to see is a Gastrodon. That's kind of the only Pokemon that could give me trouble, even though I do still have all 4 of my Pokemon up. So, waiting to see what they're going to throw out right now. And obviously my opponent thinking through the different options here. And as you'll see, they do go with the Gastrodon, which I was not happy to see. You know, Landers can't really touch Gastrodon. So it's a little bit unfortunate. And I was going back and forth between hitting the Torkoal here or not. But I felt like Gastro was really the issue. Just because Regieleki can take care of Torkoal. But obviously Regieleki cannot even damage Gastrodon, actually, because Regieleki only has electric moves. So that's something to be mindful of when playing this this team. So we go for the max ground into Gastrodon, and then we just go for, I believe, a Dazzling Gleam here, or a Discharge. I forget which one I did. I went for Dazzling Gleam. And I went for Dazzling Gleam because I wanted to do more damage on Gastro, even though it obviously does not hit the Torkoal for as much. That's why I did that. And they protect Gastro, so, you know, we're not going to get a ton of damage off with this Max Quake. It's a little bit unfortunate. We're still in a very good spot, but as you'll see, it really doesn't do too much to that Gastrodon. And the Torkoal here, I forget what it goes for, but another good thing about the max ground is we do get that special defense buff. Yes. And it does go for Yawn here. And just so you know, Yawn does still put you to sleep under electric terrain. I didn't think it did, but it definitely does. So just be wary of that. Yawn will put you to sleep under electric terrain. So once again, I just go for another max ground because, like I said, I just want to get rid of the Gastro. And they go for a switch here, which is a really smart play. I was a little bit surprised because they hadn't really been switching in very obvious moments earlier in the game. So this Dazzling Gleam doesn't even KO either one. And then obviously this is a Levitate Bronzong. Wasn't necessarily a Levitate one, but it's pretty obvious. And then Eruption out of Torkoal, which not doing too much when it's so low on life. So at least that's good for us. But, you know, Orlando's asleep now. But the good thing is we can just go for a Discharge. And that will knock out both of these Pokemon very, very easily here, which is good for us. Don't want to have to deal with them anymore. And Orlando's asleep, so... but we still have Pokemon in the back. But once again, the one that I'm worried about is definitely that Gastrodon. Of course, Torkoal protecting here. They're just trying to stall us out a little bit. So Discharge only going to hit the Bronzong, but it's fine. It's enough to knock it out, obviously, easily. And then my opponent obviously will bring back in Gastro, which Urshifu is not good against, and Regieleki can't touch. So Torkoal, not too scary. It's really slow. We can easily knock it out with Tapu Koko. And then just want our Landorus to wake back up. We can go for another move. So I just click Rock Slide here, even though it's not really doing a lot to this Gastro. I mean, we could always flinch. But I didn't want to U-turn either, because then I have to bring out like Regieleki, and then we just get stuck. And like if it keeps going for Muddy Waters, you know, I didn't want to be in that position. So we see a double protect for Torkoal, but it actually misses, so that's good for us. Dazzling Gleam, enough to knock out the Torkoal and get a decent bit of chip on the Gastro. And then Landorus, we do wake up, go for the Rock Slide. As you'll see, not doing too much damage to that Gastro. It's probably a defensive Gastro anyway. And then we do get hit with Earth Power there to knock out Koko. But at this point, Gastro is low enough that I'm very confident we can knock it out with a close combat with Urshifu. Which is good, because like I said, Regieleki ain't doing anything against Gastrodon. Nothing at all. And even our Landorus is not hitting it for too much damage. So, go ahead. Just end up clicking the Rock Slide here again. Don't want to go for Fly or anything because they could just protect it, and that's just not going to be great. And then Close Combat just to finish off the game. I do believe my opponent forfeits, yep, but obviously Close Combat was going to definitely get the knockout there for sure.